Yeah, good morning. My name is Olariwaju Tayo Duwole, a data analyst student from Career Foundry. I'm here to submit my tax 5.7, and in submitting that, I have the following questions to answer. The first one says, what does the CRISPDM technology for data mining entails? And what does the data analyst do in each steps? The cross-industrial standard process for data mining, CRISPDM, is a process model that serves as a basis for a data science process. It has 6 sequential phases. That means it entails 6 sequential phases. The first one is business understanding. The second is data understanding. The third is data preparation. The fourth is evaluation. The fifth is evaluation. And the sixth is deployment. What are the 6 CRSPDM phases? Number 1, which is the business understanding. This is a phase that focuses on understanding the objectives and requirements of the project. And in order for you to actually understand the requirements of the project, we have to undergo the following also. Number 1, by determining the business objective. You should first thoroughly understand from a business perspective what the customer really wants to accomplish the CRSTM guide, and then define business success criteria. Number 2 is assess situation. That is, determine resources availability, project requirements, access risks, and contingencies, and conduct a cost-benefit analysis. The third one in understanding the business is to determine data mining goals. That is, you should define what success look like from a technical data mining perspective. And the fourth one is produce project plan. That is, select technologies and tools and define detailed plans for each phase, for each project phases. I move to the second phase of the CRISPDM, which is data understanding. The data understanding phase, adding to the functions of business understanding, it drives the focus to identify, collect, analyze the data sets that can help us to accomplish the project goals. This phase also has 4 tasks. It also has 4 tasks. Number 1 is collect initial data. That is, acquire the necessary data, and if necessary, load them into your analysis tool. Number 2, it describes data. That is, examine the data and document its surface properties like data format, numbers of record, and field identities. The third one is to exploit data. Dig deeper into the data, query it, visualize it, and identify relationships among the data. And the fourth one is to verify data quality. How clean or dirty is the data? Document any quality issues. I move on to the third, data preparation. The common rules of thumbs in the 80% of the project is data preparation. This phase, which is often referred to as data mugging, prepares the final data set for modeling. It has 5 tasks also. The first one is select data. Second is to clean the data. The third one is to construct the data. That is, drive new attributes that will be helpful. For example, drive someone's body mass index from height and weight field. And the fourth one is integrate data. That is, create a new data set by combining data from multiple sources. And the fifth one is to format the data. Reformat the data as necessary. For example, you might convert string value that store number to numeric values so that you can perform mathematical operation. The fourth phase is modeling. Modeling. In this phase, you are likely to build and assess various models based on several different modeling techniques. This phase has four tasks also. The first one is to select modeling techniques. That is, determine which algorithm to try. E.g., is it regression or is it neural net? Number two is to generate text design. That is, pending your design approach, you might need to split the data into training tests and validate sets. The third one is to build the model. This might just be executing a few lines of code like reg. The fourth one is to assess the model. Generally, multiple models are competing against each other, and the data scientists need to interpret the model result based on domain knowledge, the predefined success criteria, and the step design. Although the CRSPSDM guides suggest to iterate models building and assessment until you strongly believe that you have found the best models. In practice, TAM should continue iterate until they find a good enough model process through the CRSPDM's lifecycle, then further improve the model in future iterations. The fifth phase of it is evaluation. Evaluation phase looks more broadly at which model best meet the business and what to do next. This phase also has three tasks. Number one is to evaluate results. Do the models meet the business success criteria? Which one should we approve for the business? Secondly, review process. Review the work accomplished. Was anything overlooked? Were all steps properly executed? Summarize finding and correct anything if needed. And the third one is to determine next steps. Based on the previous three tasks, determine whether to proceed to development, iterate further, or iterate new projects. And the last of the model phases is deployment. Depending on the requirement, the deployment phase can be as simple as generating a report or as complex as implementing a repeatable data mining process across the enterprise. The CRSPSTM guide. A model is not particularly useful unless the customers can access this result. The complexity of the phase varies widely. The final phase has four tasks. That's the deployment phase has four tasks. One, you need to plan deployment. That is, develop and document a plan for developing the model. Number two, you need to plan monitoring and maintenance, which means you develop a thorough monitoring and maintenance plan to avoid issues during the operation phase or post-project phase of a model. And the third one is to produce final report. This project team documents a summary of the project, which might include a final presentation of data mining results. And the fourth one is to review projects, that is, conduct a project retrospective about what went well and what could have been better, and how to improve in the future. I think with these few points, I've been able to explain what the CRSPDM entails. The second question is explain what needs to be done before you can forecast time series. In other words, what does time series analysis involve? Well, time series analysis is the statistical techniques used to analyze and interpret sequential data points collected over time. It is used to uncover underlying patterns and trends in the data and to make predictions about future events based on historical data. Before forecasting time series, it is important to perform the following steps. Number one, we need to collect data. 2, data cleaning, that is, remove any outlier, missing values, or errors in the data. The third one is data exploration, that is, explore the data to identify trend, pattern, and seasonality. The fourth one is data preparation. Prepare the data for modeling by transforming it into a stationary series. Then we have the model selection. We select an appropriate model based on the characteristics of the data. The sixth step is model fitting. Fit the model to the data and estimate the model parameters. The seventh one is model evaluation. Evaluate the model's performance using statistical measures and diagnostic tests. And the last one is to forecast. That is, use the model to make prediction about future events. Time series analysis can be performed using a variety of models and techniques, such as ARMA, exponential smoothing, and neural networks. It is widely used in industries such as finance, retail, etc. The third question says, discuss the main principle of data ethics, as well as what companies or organizations could do to uphold these principles. Discuss the main principles of data ethics, as well as what companies or organizations could do to uphold these principles. Data ethics is a field that explores the moral obligation of gathering, protecting, and using personal identifiable information, and how it affects individuals. There are several principles that companies or organizations could follow to uphold this obligation. The first one is ownership. An individual has ownership over the personal information. So it is unlawful and unethical to collect someone's personal data without their consent. The second one is transparency. Data subjects have a right to know how you plan to collect, store, and use their data. Whether gathering data, exercise transparency. When gathering data, we need to exercise transparency. The third one is fairness and equity. Data should not be collected and used in any way that is fair and equitable to all individuals involved. Then we have the privacy protection. Data should be collected and used in a way that respects individual privacies and protect their personal information. The last one is accountability. An organization should be accountable for the data they collect and use. They should be transparent about the data practice and take responsibility for any negative consequence that may arise. To uphold the principle, companies organizations should take the following actions. Number one, we need to develop a code of ethics. Developing a code of ethics that outline the principles and values that guide the organization's data practice. Number two, the organization needs to train employees. They need to train employees on data ethics and the importance of ethical data practice. The third one is to establish a data governance framework. That is, establish a data governance framework that outlines the policies, the procedures, and standards for collecting and storing and using the data collected. The fourth one is to conduct a regular audit to ensure that organization is complying with data ethics principles and standards. And the fifth one is to engage with stakeholders. Engaging with stakeholders includes customers, employees, and partners to understand their concern and expectation around the data ethics. By following this principle and taking these actions, companies, organization can ensure that they are collecting, storing, and using data in an ethical and responsible manner. The fourth question says, imagine you are analyst at a financial service company and you have some concern about bias in the way a predictive model was measured. How could you raise your concern with your manager? Make some suggestions for how to avoid measurement bias in the future. If I were an analyst at a financial service company and had concern about bias in the way a predictive model was measured, I will raise my concern with my manager by following these steps. Number one, gathered evidence. That is, I will collect the data and example that demonstrates the presence of bias in the model. This could include data on the model accuracy across different demographic groups, or how the model predictions have led to unfair outcomes. Number two, I'll prepare a report. I will use the evidence I've gathered to create a report that outlines my concerns and provide recommendations for how to address them. And I'll be sure to include specific examples and data to support my claims. Thirdly, I will schedule a meeting. I will schedule a meeting with my manager to discuss my concern and present my report. I'll be prepared to answer questions and provide additional information as needed. Number four, I'll make recommendation. I'll provide recommendation for how to address the bias in the model. This could include adjusting the model parameters or collecting additional data or using a different model altogether. To avoid measurement bias in future, here are some of the suggestions I will take or ask them to take. Number one, I will ask them to use diverse data to ensure that there is no bias. We need to ensure that data used to train model is diverse and respective respective of the population it is intended to serve. This can help to reduce the risk of bias in the model. Number two is to monitor the model. Regular monitors the model performance to ensure that it is not introducing bias into the decision-making process. This can involve analyzing the model accuracy across different demographic groups or conducting a regular audit of the model predictions. Thirdly, is to involve diverse stakeholders. In a diverse group of stakeholders in the deployment and testing of the model, this can include individuals from different demographic groups as well as subject matter experts who can provide valuable insight into the model performance. And the last one is to be transparent. We need to be transparent about the model's limitations and potential bias. This can help to build the trust with users and ensures that the model is being used in a responsible and ethical manners. My last question says, explain the difference between regression, classification model in predictive analysis. Explain the difference between regression and classification models in predictive analysis. When would you use one of these models over the other? Well, a regression and classification are two types of supervised learning algorithm used in predictive analysis. The main difference between the two is that the regression model predicts continuous values, while classification model predicts discrete values. Regression models are used when the output variable is a continuous value, such as predicting the price of a house or the temperature of a city. On the other hand, classification models are used when the output variable is a discrete value, such as predicting whether or customers will buy a product or not. So in summary, regression models are used when we want to predict a continuous value, while classification models are used when we want to predict a discrete value. Thank you so much.